What we call coincidence is often the invisible architecture of divine providence. That morning, the executive was preparing for the most important meeting of his life. It was not just another appointment. It was the occasion that could redefine his career, open decisive doors, and seal a future he had fought so hard to achieve. Everything was meticulously planned, the suit aligned, the documents reviewed, the mind focused. Only one last detail remained, the shoes. But as he got ready, in the tense silence of someone racing against the clock, the unexpected happened. As he put on the shoe, the sole tore apart. A sudden tear, dry, definitive. He stopped immediately. That was not just any pair of shoes. It was the only appropriate pair he had for that extremely important meeting. Despair filled his chest. Urgency turned into anguish, and frustration overflowed into revolt. Lifting his eyes, he murmured with bitterness, "Why, God? Why today? How could you allow something like this to happen to me on the most important day of my life?" In his mind, this was not a simple inconvenience. It was an injustice. With no alternative, he finished getting ready and rushed out, running to the nearest cobbler, the damaged shoe in his hands. As he entered the small workshop, he found a simple man, with tired eyes and a posture bent by routine and the silent hardships of life. Without even sitting down, the executive spoke urgently, almost breathless. "Sir, can you fix this shoe with extreme urgency? I have a very important meeting." The cobbler looked at the shoe, then at the executive's distressed face. There was a brief silence. "Yes, I can. It is torn, but it can be repaired." The executive took a deep breath with a measure of relief. The cobbler nodded quietly and began the work. The needle crossed the leather, the thread sealed the rupture, and, little by little, the shoe was being restored. As he sewed, the cobbler's expression changed. His eyes brightened, and a sincere smile appeared on his face, as if a quiet joy had filled the humble room. He then said, with serene emotion, "God is infinitely kind, is he not?" The executive, still trapped in the anxiety of time and the resentment he had carried since leaving his room, replied awkwardly, "Kindness. I think I would rather stay quiet. I am having a difficult day." The cobbler paused, held the shoe for a moment, and answered in a calm voice, "Seconds before you walked in, I was in prayer. I do not have a single coin to buy my daughter's lunch. I asked God only for enough to buy her a meal. And then he sent you through my door with an urgent repair." The silence that followed was profound. In that instant, something broke inside the executive. Not the shoe, but his perception. He realized that while he was revolting against God over a delay in his own preparation, God was already answering the desperate prayer of another father. What he called bad luck was provision. What he called injustice was sustenance. What he questioned as divine failure was, in truth, divine care working behind the scenes. His meeting was important, but for that simple man, that repair meant food, hope, and dignity for his daughter. And in that seemingly ordinary encounter, two stories were connected by an invisible providence. The executive left with his shoe repaired, but above all, he left with a transformed awareness. For he understood that not every delay is abandonment, not every inconvenience is punishment, and not every frustration is the absence of God. Sometimes what seems like a personal obstacle is the direct answer to someone else's silent prayer. Not everything is about you. Omnius, Domus, now asks you, could it be that what you called a problem was, in fact, Providence being delivered through you? Reflect, like if this message touched your soul. Share it with those who need to understand that not every coincidence is merely coincidence.